In the previous lecture, I asked you a question, and the question was about finding all the objects of this code. Now I'm going to answer that question, and I'm also going to tell you that objects are one of the 8 elements of the Python programming language. Besides objects, we also have identifiers, operators, delimiters, keywords, comments, blank lines, white space, and indentation, which are the objects in this code. So let's go straight ahead. 4 is an object. 5 is an object. And then we have the list 6, 7, that is also an object. 6 also is an object. So the list in itself is an object, but it's a compound object, which means it's made of other objects, other simpler objects, such as 6 and 7 in this case. Now let's stop here for a moment. Maybe you thought that A, B and C were objects. Well, no. A, B, C actually are identifiers. In other words, we used to call them variables. Identifiers is a more official, a more technical name. So identifiers are names that we use to identify an object. Sometimes you may choose not to assign an identifier to an object, like I did here with the hello string. So the hello string is still an object, just like 4 and 5. These are all objects because they occupy some space in memory. So when the CPython shell starts, these objects are being created in RAM, so the temporary memory of your computer. So hi and hello are also objects. And then this one in here is also surprisingly an object. So the function definition, when you create a function definition, that definition where these rules of what to do are memorized. So in this case, we are memorizing this operation here where we are raising x in the power of 2. So this information is also created as an object and it's given a name or an identifier, whatever you call it. That name is area. So we're not used to call this a variable, but it's still an identifier. So identifiers also include names of functions that you create. Then you have x is an identifier, and 2 is an object. 3 is also an object. I'm using 3 to call this function that I defined in here. And also 9 will also be an object. So in this case, basically area 3, so this function call is actually 9 is equal to 9. So this 9 it will also be part of the memory, this object. So we have objects, we have identifiers. What else do we have? So basically I have included everything that the Python language has in this small snippet of code. So what else? We have operators, such as the power of operator in here. You also have plus, minus, etc. You can find those in the Python official documentation. Let's move on. We have delimiters. Delimiters are this part of the syntax that are used to basically separate different parts of the code. In our example, we have the assignment delimiter. Don't confuse it with operators. This is not an operator, it's a delimiter. We have the comma, which is used to separate objects in a list or in other scenarios as well. You have this double quote, which you use to create strings. You have open and close parentheses, and you have the colon. We have all that in this example. You have other delimiters. You can see them in the official Python documentation again. We have keywords. The def and the return words are actually keywords. So these are not objects, these are not identifiers, but are spatial commands that Python uses to do certain things. such as to denote the start of defining a function, or to denote the end of the function, such as the return keyword. Then we have comments, such as this one in here. You have blank lines, such as this one. So blank line here, blank line here, blank line here, blank line in here. You also have white space. For example, after the comma, I have a white space here, which doesn't do any harm. And you have indentation. Indentation is this one in here. As you know, this is part of the syntax of the Python syntax. It's usually to denote the dependence of a block of code. For example, this is how you create a function, or you use indentation in for loops, etc. And that's all you have. Like every code that you'll ever write in Python will have all these parts of the syntax,